Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our question time live stream where we answer all your Unreal Engine questions that you may have. The way this works is all you have to do is put your question into chat, and I'll try and grab as many questions as I can within the hour or so that we are live. And I'll try and answer them live for you and give you advice, guidance, and tips and tricks along the way. So if you've never done this before, if you don't get a question answered, don't worry, just put your question in the chat again. I'll try and grab it the next time round. That's totally okay. Yeah, start filling in your questions. It's great to see some people filling the rooms already. We've got a Turtle Tank, hi, Felix, hi, Bug Buffet. How are we all doing? Hope everyone is well. We are good to go, I think, over here. I think everything's not going to crash. It's all good. So let's jump into Unreal and start answering some questions there with Turtle Tank's first question of the evening. Like to know how to validate the input type of each user. So how to do I detect in code if they're using mouse and keyboard or gamepad. Okay. So you want to go into your controller is the best place for this, but you can do it in anywhere really. It doesn't really matter too much. But the main thing you need to do, and to help you display this, I'm going to put on tick here, is we need to get the input subsystem. So the input subsystem looks after all of the devices, input device subsystem looks after all the devices that are giving inputs to the game. Simple as that. And as part of that subsystem, you can get information about the device or platform that you're using. So, for example, I can go in here and type in device, and I can see various different functions I can use. One I want to be using for this is going to be the most recently used hardware device. Okay, so we're going to get most recently used hardware device. We're going to click on this. And what we need to do is give it the user ID. So we need to know which user we're talking about here. This could be, because you might have local multiplayer where you have different players doing the same thing. So in user ID, you need to get the player controller, which is what this is. But then we want to get the user ID for the controller. And you'll see in there, we've got platform user ID. And then you'll find also, no, that is the one we want to use. Yep, that is the one we want to use. Get platform user ID. And we'll plug that into user ID there. This returns a struct, and information about this struct we can break out. And we can see we get input class name, input hardware device identifier, primary device type, and supported features mask. So these give you different things. So if I done a print string here and put in a hardware device identifier, this returns a code related to the kind of device that you're using. So if I'm in here, KBM refers to keyboard and mouse. If I use my controller, which I've got an Xbox controller here, you will see it changes to X input controller. And if I go back to mouse and keyboard, it uses keyboard and mouse. Okay. PlayStation also has its own separate one too. I can't remember what the code is for PlayStation controllers. I have to Google it and look it up. But yeah, it will give its own code. That way you can give it specific input images based upon what input you're using. So that is probably the best way to discern what you're using. Alternatively, if you just don't care about the platform, but more care about if it's gamepad or keyboard, you can also use primary device type here too. So if I put that in here and hit play, we've got keyboard and mouse coming through as an enum. And we've got gamepad if I use a gamepad. Okay. And so if you wanted to, you can make yourself little functions if you want to make yourself a little bit nicer and easier. So you could do a thing like a common function library. You may want to use, if I can. There you go. I don't know why I always call it common, but I always call it common function library. And in there, I could do a function is get device input device. Or it is using gamepad. We'll do like is using gamepad. There you go. If you want to do something that simple. So I can then take all this stuff, put that in here, and I can return a value. And I can return whether or not this is a enum is going to be a gamepad. So we do return primary device. I type here if that is equal to gamepad. We can put that in there. Okay, it's using gamepad. Now we've got a common function that we can call wherever we like. Oh wait, no, we can't. We have to get the player controller. Put that into an input there. Controller. There we go. Okay. So I can now call that wherever I want. I can do is using gamepad as a function. Plug that in. Okay. And that work in any sort of scenario. And if you want to extend that a little bit further, what else you can do is you can feed through this enum here too. So this is a hardware device primary type enum. So if I just add that to my input here, we'll go for device, and we do primary device thing there, and we search for device. And now we can make this thing, rather than is using gamepad, we can say is using device, and we can now specify what device we're using. So over here, I can put in self as the controller, and then I can specify what device I want to use. And here you can see the various different types of devices you have: racing wheels, touch screens, so on. So if I go gamepad, we now got this thing that compares gamepads. Pretty useful. So hopefully that helps you out. Okay, next up we got Bug Buffet. Want to ask, can you make a tutorial on a co-op join session through code? Yeah, so what you want to do is what you have to do is on the game mode is first of all specify how many player controls you can allow in your game. So let's say, for example, in here on begin play on your game mode, we do a for loop, and we say we're going to do maximum of 4 players. Okay, so I'm going to do 0 to 2. Okay, because player 1 is always going to spawn. So for loop 0 to 2, and what we want to do in here is we want to create a local player. Okay, and the controller ID we're going to leave alone. So what that means with -1, it just means it's going to get the next available index. So you don't have to customize it too much, but just leave it alone. But what we're doing here is we want to spawn the player controller. Okay, like that, and that's going to be. And now we've got a reference to a player controller. We can all that stuff there, and the player controller will be then listening out for an input to tell it when to want to join the game. So that'll be the controller that's defined in the class defaults here, by the way. That'll be this one, third person player controller. So it would spawn these in as many times as it needs to. And then on the controller, let's say I hit a button on my gamepad here. So I do gamepad special right. So when I push the start button, I want it to possess, spawn and create a character and then possess them. Okay, so spawn actor from class. We choose the third person character. Spawn transform. We'll do get actor transform. Like that. Yeah, and then I want to go over here, and I want to possess the character. Okay. So the controller is always there. It's just not going to do anything until you push that button. So if I go also into project settings and take to skip assigning, skip assigning gamepad to player 1. So now I've got 2 players. Keyboard and mouse is player 1, gamepad will be player 2. Yeah, like this. So spawn that in. We need to tell our character not to spawn in. 1 sec. So in the game mode, I need to tell it to not spawn in the character. So what I want to do is probably override the get default pawn class. So this is the function that gets called when you first start the game and it spawns in the correct pawn. The default behavior for this is it'll pick the one from the right hand side here, but we can override this. And so what I can say is only do this if this controller ID index, maybe ID, I don't know, Get player ID. No, what is it called? It would be index, surely. No. Hang on. Get user. I don't know if they're player 1 or not. And I know that if they are, get the player index, which is, if I do get player controller with player index, yeah, it uses player index. I swear you can do that. I'm going mad. Oh, it needs to be a. That's good. This controller here needs to be a player controller. So cast to player controller. That's why. And then from there, we can get the index. Get my player index. We'll use that one. Okay, and if it is, if this is, we'll do switch on int. If that is 0, I want it to do the default behavior. Goes across there. So player 0 will spawn in with the actual default pawn. No one else will spawn in with anything. Okay, they're just spawning with nothing. Or not at all. I guess we're not using turn-based game mode. We can't use that function. How are we getting the index then? ID? Oh, yeah, get local player controller ID. Yeah, there you go. Get local player controller ID. That's what we want. That's the one I was looking for. I'll try it again. So we've got one spawning in. And I'll get my gamepad. Hit start. They spawn in with that one. I haven't set up controls for them. But there you go. So yeah, they can run around and spawn in like that. As for stopping the split screen coming in, you need to turn off the split screen setting. So use split screen, we'll turn that off there. And then if you don't have that on at all, at start, I just spawn in with the character. If I think you can do it dynamically. You say you can. Double check. So, by the way, this is how you find stuff out. If I don't know off the top of my head if you can change the split screen setting at runtime, I don't know. So this is what I'm going to do. So if I don't know the answer to something, I go into my search box here, turn off context sensitive, and search for keywords. So in this case, split screen makes the most sense. So I've got is split screen force disabled. Set force disable split screen. So I was going to disable it, but I can't enable it. That's a weird function to have. I'm not too sure about that one. So maybe how can we make it generate the split screen at runtime? Ooh, good question. I don't know if you can do that. Don't know if you can. Split screen. Maybe viewport. Because technically, what you're doing with a viewport is you're when you're split screen, you're creating a new viewport. So is there one like we can create a new viewport, add new viewport, add the viewport, add to player screen. Let's get the game viewport subsystem. Is there anything in there we can do? Split string? No. TBD on that one. Not too sure how you can make it so you can add the split screen in at runtime. Seems like a bit of an oversight if you can't. There must be a way of doing it. know. 'Cause obviously I don't want to see these. I'm not entirely certain, to be honest with you. Let me have a quick Google, see if anyone else has had a solution, found a solution for this one. Multiplayer. People are saying like people are talking about plugins and things. I mean, we could do it with like render target things, but I ideally wouldn't want to do that. I'm not seeing anyone else talking about it, but it seems a bit like a bit of an oversight, if that is not a thing. Don't know. The answer to that, I don't know. I'm not. I just want to have to come back to, I think, and I'll do a deep dive. If I find a solution to it, I'll do a video on it. I'm not entirely certain what you would do to make it split screen runtime. Normally, other games have done it. I mean, your workaround is to do it as a render target, which feels a bit odd to do. But it technically would work. It'd just be a bit weird. But I'll look it up for the best solution to do that part. But hopefully that gets you where you need to go. Halfway there anyway. The next question is Ironkeep. Ironkeep is asking the question is, how do I spawn Gibbs at the impact point of a line trace? I want to spawn a set amount of falling at a random location of rotation. First bits when I shoot an enemy. Yeah, so that'd be a particle system. So you just, if I create an ecosystem, we'll do that one, and I'll call it NS Gibbs. Hi, Iron Thumbs, how you doing? Yeah, so it'd be just a particle system. So it'd be a variety of different emitters you have in here. So the first emitter you will have will be like the fleshy bits. If you want to do like, if you're talking about shooting an enemy and seeing like chunks coming out of them, you'll have a renderer, but it won't be using a sprite renderer. You'll be using a mesh renderer instead. So either turn it off or delete the sprite renderer. And on the mesh renderer, you want some meshes you want to make. So in that case, you can just use modeling mode to help you with this. We'll just do a very simple sphere. I'll turn the radius down to 10. Like that. Sure. And then I'll go to deform, vertex sculpt, and just do some weird squishy stuff to it. We'll change that to smooth. Change the size of this thing up. There. Ooh. down a bit. Let's do that as well. Just want a random sort of shape of that. Looks like a chunk. Okay. And we'll do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and we'll simplify the mesh. Simplify. And we'll bring it down somewhat, make it even more simplified, because it can be quite small. So we want it to be simple. I do. Right, there you go. Yeah, so we have that. And we'll put that in our Gibbs here. So we're going to put that into the mesh renderer here. Just going to copy that. And paste that into there. Okay, so... oh, wait, no. Why didn't it work? There you go. Okay, so on this thing, we want to do a burst. So you can go emitter update and do spawn burst. And we'll make it spawn 5 for now. And on the emitter particle spawn here, we're going to add a velocity to it. So add velocity. We need a fix by solve forces and velocity so it can calculate what forces need to be applied to it. And it just launches up like that. I want this to have gravity on it as well. So I'm going to go to particle update and add gravity. Okay. And then on the add velocity, I need to change this down. So I'm going to just tweak that down a bit so I can see it a bit quicker. So the velocity here, I'm going to make it randomized. So I'm going to do random range vector. And I'm just going to do -1 in the X, -1 in the Y, 0 in the Z. Maximum is 1, 1, and then 1 in the Z here. And if I put in a velocity speed here of 50, maybe 100. Okay, we've got a bit more spread now. Then on the Z, I'm just going to up the value here. So I'm going to put it from 1 to 10. And we get that. So maybe a bit less. Let's do 5, maybe 3, 4. Yeah, 4 is pretty good. And the minimum I'm bringing up to like 3. Maybe 2. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And I can also mess around with the velocity speed scale here by just using these little drop down arrows here. I can do a random range of float, and we'll do everything between 80 and 100. Really randomize it, you know. And as for the rotation, we're going to randomize the rotation too. So an initialized particle, we're going to mesh. Oh, we can't do it on there, so it's on here. Initial mesh orientation, random. Okay, so we're going to go randomly. And if you want it to hit the floor as well, you can add collision to the particle update system as well. And I'll add collision to it there. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Go through in a second. But there's your Gibbs, okay, doing things. That's like part 1 of this. The other parts will be like either maybe different, like more sprite-based stuff, blood and bits like that. But nonetheless, we've got Gibbs stuff going on here. I will change the scale as well. I'll randomize that. Do random uniform between 1 and we'll do between 0.5 and 1.2. There we go. That'll do. So yeah, that is the particle system in a nutshell. So what I want to do is I want to spawn that at the location of the impact point. So impact point is going to be coming from a line trace or hit event, depending on what you're making. So either way, you're going to have a hit result. So let me just get a hit result out of this. I'm going to do right mouse button. And I'm just going to do a line trace out by channel. And I want to take the camera, in this case, get player camera manager. And from that, get the actor location of the camera. And then on that, we're going to add on an offset of how far away you want to go. and the direction we want to go. So we get the direction from here, we get the forward vector of the camera. That's the direction it's facing. Multiply it by length. Should be a float. Let's say 2000. And put that in there. So it's like me shooting a gun, essentially. It's going to be doing this. And then, if I want to spawn the pocket system at the location, I first of all want to make sure that... Hang on, why is that not working? Why is my shortcut not working? Oh, whatever. And we'll put that into the branch there. Take that out here. We'll break that open. And we just want to spawn a pocket system at this location. So we do spawn system at location. And we choose our Gibbs. Okay. And that's it. Okay, there's my Gibbs. Now, if it's something that you only want to affect a character, like you only want to see this effect coming out of the character if it's a hit event, all you're doing is just changing where this is happening. So here you'd be doing like apply damage to the hit actor. Like that, for example. It'd be apply point damage. Sorry. Apply point damage. Okay. And that will have the hit info coming into it, like so. And all you do on the enemy side of things is you just do that spawn system again, but it'd be on the any damage event. And you look at, oh, sorry, any point damage, sorry. Point damage event. There you go. And you get the hit location, and you can do it from that. So you spawn system at location. Okay. There you go. And that's it, really. You just spawn it on the enemy. That is it. Next question is Go For Real from Twitch. I'm kind of new and trying to learn how to optimize a project for resource usage. How do I decide when do I have enough? I have to use object class or soft object class, and also when to cast or when to use interfaces. Only thing I know is base type like interactive class must contain interfaces instead of casting interacting A, then B, then C, and casting base class. The BP1 takes less memory since it does not load the systems themselves. Okay, so there's a few things there. So how to decide whether you want to use object classes or soft object classes. So the difference between a hard reference and a soft reference is a hard reference is is gonna find it in memory. Okay, it's let me reword that. So a soft object reference is a location in memory, like a reference in memory that isn't guaranteed to be there as of time. It's also a reserved sort of location essentially, and it won't do anything unless it is valid and not valid is loaded up. Okay, so it's an asynchronous load essentially. That's the best way to describe it. It's an asynchronous load of a reference. Generally speaking, soft object references are going to be better for most use cases. But if something is loaded up already and you don't need to load it as of and when, you can just use hard references. So things like get player character, get player controller, things like that, they're hard. They're always going to be there. So just use hard references. But if something is maybe there, maybe not going to be there, you can use soft object references to potentially load them up. In terms of when to use cast or interfaces, so casting is the purpose of casting is to basically tell it to is to make it so if you have a parent reference, okay, so a blue pin or software, well, a blue one basically. If that's a parent class and you need to get it down to its child class, so you can do stuff with the child. That is going to be using a cast. Okay, so you're transforming that reference. Okay, and that's the purpose of the cast. So take a reference out and change it. Okay, and casting and interfaces, a bit of a myth behind these two is that operationally on the runtime, there's not much difference between them. The difference between a cast and interfaces, though, is that casting does, as you said in your comment, does load up the asset along with everything else in memory at the time. So if your object you're casting to may or may not exist, don't use a cast if you can help it. If it's something that's going to exist anyway, it doesn't really matter. So like, for example, the game mode, player controller, player character, they're always going to be there. So casting is not going to be a problem. So there are things like that to consider. Interfaces are really useful because you don't care about the object. You care about what the result is. Whereas casting, you care more about the object. So interfaces, you care more about the result. And so you're trying to, it's almost a closed off street. You're just sending information to something and you're like, I just want you to do something. And away they go. The downside to interfaces, though, is that there is still operationally a cost to it. It's not a free thing to do. It does have a cost, like casting does. But it also makes it very difficult to, not very difficult, but difficult to debug as well, because the function is fired off into the nebulous. You can't easily track down when you do like breakpoints, things like that, to track down where that goes next or how that operates. Like you can't easily tell that happening there. So it does mean there's some code it has to be rewritten or look up. It can be a bit difficult to find sometimes. But they have two different use cases. Okay, and you'll see I use them interchangeably for various different things. So yeah, use them for the right reasons. Yeah, no problem. Cheers, Turtle Tank. Any more questions? This is the quietest one yet. We haven't had many questions come through. Any more questions from anyone that wants to ask about? Double check I haven't missed any questions on other stream. No, I haven't. Please do ask questions. I'm here to answer you. Let me see if I can, while we're looking it up, I'm going to look up split screen stuff, see if I can find what a solution to what you could do for that. Yeah, no, I don't see much going on in it. It's I see people asking for it back in 2017, but it's not. Doesn't seem to be a feature, like built-in feature. It might have to be a plug-in solution. You can do it through C++, obviously, but not. Okay, so yeah, you basically have to expose it. Set force. I mean, I'm going to try that set force thing. Hold on, let me have a look. Hang on, let me jump into. Maybe like we left too quickly to the from the force enable split screen. Hang on, what was it? Split screen. I cannot type today. It's been one of those days. Set force enable split screen. Like if I put that on there and leave that blank, does that mean it's enabled? It's a weird way of naming that function. It doesn't make much sense. So if I go into project settings and disable it from the get-go, so it's disabled. But when I push play on my controller, will it add the split screen? No. It just no. Okay. I thought it might, but no. I think it might disable it, but where there's no enable, they haven't exposed that part. Only if that will force a disable one. It just don't actually work as it sounds like it should. Yeah, it just doesn't. You can't do it the other way. That's weird. Why would you make a function that only does it one way? How odd, people. How odd. YouTube chat is broken. Oh my god. That'd be why the questions are going down. Let's have a look. Is it a me thing or is it hold on. Or is it YouTube thing? Hold up. Let me go into here. Oh yeah. How strange. Okay, so YouTube chat doesn't seem to be working for some reason. I don't know what's going on there. What's going on there?
We go to the live stream.
1 second.
Let's see if it's something I can do.
I don't think it is though. Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah, YouTube chat's down. Okay. Weird. Okay, sorry. Don't know what's going on there. Okay. If you're on YouTube and want to ask questions, head over to Twitch and you can type in questions into Twitch. I don't know what's happening to YouTube. I wonder if it's just me or is it everyone else that's live streaming? I don't know. Anywho. Lord Bunch. Hi Ryan, thank you for these. I'm currently struggling with AI. I think of a race driver would do it in a scenario and I feel I need to do a lot of stuff while they drive. Can I give 2 actions to AI? For example, race within the racing line, like defend or attack. So yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of. It's just a different. You'd have more complex behavioural stuff in the behaviour tree. That's all. So I mean, it's not an easy like like put in for right now, but essentially, yes, you're not giving 2 actions to AI. You're basically giving an action. You're defining it in different ways, and you can also another thing to think about is you could do a parallel in the behavior tree if you're doing a behavior tree. So if you're doing a behavior tree, you can do a simple parallel. Okay, and what a parallel does is it does a function, does a task over here, and it does that main task, but it loops this lot. So whatever's going on here, it'll loop. So you can put in here, staying within the lines, driving around stuff, but then you put in here like different stuff it may be doing at that time. Possibly. No, that's something you could do. Kashan, good to see you, man. Did you get my email about the retired We Are meeting and find out? Was this something we did discuss last time? Good question. I was away at the weekend, so I may have missed the email. 1 second, let me have a look. My inbox is filled with stuff at the weekend. Yes, I've got it. I'll download it. I'll leave that up there so I can download that later. Zero X Nero. Do you know of a good way to pick up objects and throw them with a third-person character? Trying to copy the Zelda style where you throw rocks or pots and they break on hitting the ground. Oh, yeah, okay. So, there's several elements to this. You've got the pickup part, and you've got the animation part, and you've got the throwing part. So, let's say we have we've got 15 minutes. I wonder how well we could do this. I don't think we're going to have enough time to do this, but we'll do our best. So in our character here, we want to do, I'll do a debug E key to do a line trace out to interact with something. Okay, so do line trace, channel, character, location, that. So this is if you want to look at the object to pick it up. If you don't want to look at the object, you just want to pick up if it's in front of you. Another thing you can do, might be a bit easier to show, is have a sphere collision, and that'd be your sort of grabbing check you have going on. So put it at your feet, you can pick up something from your feet, maybe. You know, you can change the size of that based upon how far away you want this thing to be able to grab things. Okay, so let's say it's like that. And what I can do is when I push E, I can get the sphere, get overlapping actors, class filter. I'm just going to choose actor, and then from that, I just want to get the first one that has the interface that I'm going to make, which is interact interface. So let's go into make an interface, interact, and we'll do interact with, like that. And on the array element here, we want to see does implement interface. And we're going to choose our BPI interact. Well, my branch shortcut doesn't work. It's a weird problem to have. I'll go to there. And this will actually be a function. So let's make a collapsible function. Interact with that. There we go. The reason why we make it a function is because I want to be able to escape out of it earlier. So on for each loop, when we do this, I want to say pick up the item from the list there. So let's say we make a new actor here, and we'll put up BP rock. Okay, and in this rock we'll have a mesh, and I'll pick my weird sphere thing I made for the giblets. Use the same thing. I'll scale up a little bit like that. And then I want to have the implemented interface here for BPI interact and interact with. I want to say pick this thing up. Okay, so in this case, I want to make it always pick up. So let's go back to my third person character, and from there we do interact with. And in this particular instance, I want to pick it up. So we're going to go to variables. Actually, let's just take that off there for a second. If I take this array element here and promote that to a variable, and that'll be picked up object. Like that. And then we return out of the function, so it cancels any more for each loop. So it will just get the first one it finds, basically. So if there's multiple in the way, it will just pick whatever the first one is. Obviously, you could also do things like assessments to figure out if you can like grab a particular one because it's the closest one, for example. But right now, we'll just pick the first one. Okay, so that goes through there. And then on the event graph, when I push E to interact with it, I only want to interact with it if pickup object is invalid. So if I don't actually hold anything right now, pick it up. And when I do pick it up, I want to just put it in my hand. So this would be where animation plays. Maybe I'd make a function here, pick up object. And it would probably actually make more sense to put that in there. And then do that there instead. That probably makes more sense. So then on a pick up object, it will set the variable, and then I actually want to set it to my player character's hands, essentially, or above their head or whatever. I haven't got an animation for it, so we're just going to put it above their head. If I or put it in front of them, wherever you want to put it, I'm going to put it above their head like Zelda style, like hold it above the head. Do that. So I want that to be. I mean, you've got. If you're doing animation, we could attach it to the bone. I haven't got the animation, so I'm not going to do that. I'll just attach it to the head. So we're going to take this attach actor to component. I'm going to attach it to the mesh, and I'll put it to the head bone. Location rule, we're going to do keep world, keep world, keep world, like that. No, sorry, snap the target. Sorry, snap the target. Snap the target, and that'll put the basically on my head, or in my head rather. That will do. So I'll pick up the object. When I pick it up, I want to change the collision of it, so we don't collide with it. So I pick up object. We're going to do set collision enabled. We set that to false. Like that. So if I go into my scene and put a rock in, there we go. And oh yeah, I forgot about this. And then push E. Is it too small? It might have no collision actually. Funny enough. I don't think it has any collision. Let's just add collision on it. Add collision. There you go. Right, it's in my head. So this would measure it be above my head, okay? And you have to make sure you disable collision because you don't want it colliding with your capsule and causing weird physics issues. So once you've done that, your E key would then do throw object. So we do throw object. And I'm going to take my picked up object here. And you've got a couple of things you can do. If you wanted to, you can add a projectile movement component to it if you want. And then set some values on it. So on this thing, we're going to do initial speed of 1,000. Max speed of 1,000. And I'm going to... I was going to launch it forward. So we're going to do... before we do that, we detach it. So picked up object. Detach. Connect up. I'm going to keep the world location the same. Add projectile movement to it. Yeah. Do that. And so when I interact with it, with my key, if it's valid, I'm going to do throw object instead. And throw object here, we can just do clear picked up objects. So now we can pick up and throw objects over and over again. So go up to here, should be tell thing. Okay, and it goes, gets thrown. So all I need to do is change the direction of the throw. And it's going to point up because that's where my head pointed, so it's rotated towards the head. And then I want it to go forwards and then have collision on it. So when we pick up the object here, I'm going to do rotation rule. I'm going to say keep relative rotation. And when I throw it, actually not relative, kind of want it to turn. I'm going to have to turn it, I think. So over here, we take the object here, set actor rotation. And we want this to be the same as our player's rotation, especially in a yaw. So get actor rotation. Like that. Okay. Like that. We'll keep relative to that. Yep, cool. And that does that. Nicely done. Okay. And then we want to turn on the collision onto it. So I can turn collision back on from here. I can do enable collision. The problem that may have, though, is it'll clip with my capsule on the first sort of few frames. So we may have to give it a little delay before we turn on collision again. Oh, it's facing the wrong way. Put a few up there. Yeah, so it's colliding with my capsule a bit. So we need to not do that. Another thing you can also do is you can make it so it ignores the player character in particular. So on the picked up object here, we can do should. I don't know what it is. we can't do that then. We need to delay this somewhat. So we could do a thing maybe on the BPI interact, have a function on here. We go thrown. And then on the player character, we do thrown message. And I'm doing this because I need to set it to run an event on it to turn its own collision back on. And I can't, over time, I can't do it from this point of view, so I have to do it on the rock's point of view. So go to the rock and go to its thrown on here and do a timer or delay, whatever you want to do. Delay be fine. Do 0.5. And then we enable collision. Right, let's try that again. No, that's not that one, it's this one. Yeah, their rotations are a bit weird, aren't they? And it's not climbing the floor again. Why are they not climbing the floor? Then. Okay, my throne thing isn't getting called for whatever reason. Yeah. Yep. Maybe 0.5 is too long. I'm entirely certain. You'd replace the timer with the delay with a timer. Yeah, why aren't these things colliding? Yeah, so to block everything. I don't know. I mean, you can make it a projectile, a physics object if you want. Yeah, you can do the same similar sort of thing, but you could just add a projectile on it. Get why it's not turning collision back on. That's going through the floor. How's it doing that? How can it collide with me but not the floor? That's very confusing. Make sure it has got collision on it. Yep, there it is. Intriguing. I don't know why that won't work. I mean, what if I told it to simulate physics here? Simulate physics. I don't think that would work because you shouldn't have to do that with projectile movement. Maybe we do because we're adding it dynamically. Yeah, we do. Okay. We do. I think it might have. So there might be something to do with the projectile component not turning on the physics when it needs to. But anyway, okay, so I know the issue. I know why projectile wasn't working. I need to make the mesh the root. I'm just gonna make the mesh bigger though, because they're gonna be too small. So I'm gonna make it bigger. Then bake the transform in. Okay, cool. Right, let's try this now. I mean, I can add a projectile movement here. I don't have to just do it through the... We could do that here. I shouldn't need to, that's the thing. I'm very confused as to what the hell is going on. Maybe we do have to turn on physics again. Just do delay there. No, we shouldn't need to, because if the moment we turn on physics, it negates the projectile movement. So why are projectiles not flying where they should be? Let me just add projectile movement to this and see if it responds the way it should do. So, like, if I lift these three up. Yeah, he'll hit the floor and stop. That one hit me. Okay. That's correct. That's what should happen now. Maybe it was working. It just hit my capsule too quickly. Let me take off that. Oh, I can't grab them now. So it kind of works. I think the collision's just happening too quick. I think I just need to change that delay back to how it was, like 0.5, not 0.2. Or even just 1, you know. One's too long. There's definitely things we need to do on that. It could be on the interact with as well. We pass through the player character and tend to ignore when moving. So we take this thing, do ignore actor when moving. But the interact with needs to have then who's interacting with it. So we'll do that here. Let's do actor. Interactor, we'll call it. So now it has this interactor. We're going to take it to ignore that one. I'm going to take the delay now. But then on the player character, I need to make sure when I pick up the object, wait a minute rather, do it in self. And that should tell it to ignore when it's moving, but stuff goes weird sometimes. It also tell it to not affect the spring arm. That seems to do it. Let's tell it not to affect the spring arm. Spring arm is using a camera trace, so I'm going to go down to collision presets, custom, and tell it to ignore camera traces. So when I pick it up, we don't get any weird camera issues. I don't know why it's throwing it in a weird angle. It's hard to tell because the rock is a weird shape. Let me just add a arrow to it so I know which way it's facing. Make that not hidden in the game. Oh yeah, where's the arrow pointing down? That will explain a few things. I swear I told it to go to my rotation. Did I not? Am I going crazy? Projectile movement enables physics on the object, but it looks for the root component, so it'd be like the first object in the root. So whenever you do a projectile, make sure the root is the thing that is going to be affected by the projectile movement. Yeah, when I pick this up, it should be... Yeah. Oh, wait. Rotation. Keep world. That'd be right. Not relative. There we go. That's more like it. Oh, yeah, you should make it make it bounce or something as well. I have gravity, otherwise it would just do stuff like that. But yeah. Nice. So if we go and add the gravity onto it, let's go to where we add projectile, throw object, add movement component. We've got gravity on it, haven't we? Yeah. I guess we should have bounce, but bouncing this is going to be very low for this thing. 0.1. Yeah. There we go. We need to turn down friction as well. It's a stone, not an ice block. Let me turn off the bloody split screen as well. So let's go back to here and we go down to friction. We'll turn up friction to like 1. Velocity bounce. We'll make this a bit higher. We'll do 10. There you go. Nice. That's more like a rock. So then that thing can also have collision data. So when it collides with something, it does a hit event. You can make it do stuff too. So if I had another object, let's say an actor in here, and this had a sphere on it, and this had a hit event, I need to make sure my rock is going to generate hit events. So make sure you got simulation generates hit events turned on. And when this hits the guy over here, we can make it destroy itself. So destroy actor, for example. We may want to get the other ones for velocity. So other, get velocity. And if you're ever unsure what the velocity values will be, by the way, a good tip for this is not to do the effect, but just do a print string first to figure out the velocity length. And that will give you like how fast it was traveling at the impact. So put that into there. So if I put it in a level first, no. If I put that in the level here somewhere, like that. If I throw something at it, we want to look at what numbers it gets. So 1,000 got, which makes sense because that's what I threw it at. Yeah, it's the strength. If I walk into it, like I don't want to be the one to like breaking it. And obviously we do have a checks as well to make sure that's not the case, but I'm never reaching 1,000 on this thing. So I could do a simple velocity check on it and say if this is greater than or equal to 1,000. We destroy actor. Alternatively, you can do other things to work out if the thing you're hitting it with is there you go, is a rock. You can do like a check on it. Yeah, that was a fun one. Thank you, Zero Nero. That's good. Doomsday, what do you recommend for Steam integration? Finding joining session presence. I tried advanced session plugin. Advanced session plugin is probably the best solution out there for it. Yeah. Dan the Man, I lost the love to dev. How do you relight that spark? Your challenge helped me, but a week too short for me. Have a love your work. I mean, you don't have to do it all in 1 week. If you like the idea of the challenge, but you feel like you need a bit more time on it, there's no rules saying that you don't have to do longer. You can keep going. Yeah, it's just there for you to give you some inspiration to try and do something. How do you relight my spark? Usually, if I get burnt out, it's usually because the project I'm working on is burning me out. So I try and switch gears and try to do something a bit, maybe a bit simpler, a bit smaller in scope, something a bit more fun, interesting to try out, something new, maybe. You know, it can be very hard disheartening things, especially when you get to like want to do it as a job and release a game and things like that. It can be very frustrating. And there's lots of things that could go wrong with stuff. It definitely happened to me and happened to many other developers too. The main thing is to surround yourself with people who give you that motivation. Share your work with others as well, and they'll give you motivation too. Or just ask for help. That usually works quite well too. If you're really having a hard time with it, ask for help. Ask other developers what they're working on. Find out what they're working on. It might inspire you to go and do more stuff with your own or something. Okay. And on that note, we're going to have to end it there, unfortunately. Thank you for sticking with us, even through YouTube's weird chat issues. I don't know what that's all about. But thank you so much. I won't be here next Tuesday for podcast because I'll be in London I'll be in Unreal meetup in London. So if you're in London and you're going to Unreal meetup, see you there. If you're in London and don't know about the meetup, check it out on Meetup. There might be some tickets left. I don't know. It gets filled up quite quick. I'm hoping to do a talk there, so I'm waiting for them to get back to me whether they'll let me do a talk. But a little hangout where we can hang out and just chat to people. Yeah, it'd be great. Other than that, take care, have fun. We'll be showing some more stuff with Mimic soon, very, very soon. Been working hard on it. Do check out the website. I've updated the website, playmimic.com. Yeah, check it out, playmimic.com. I'll be showing it around the socials soon. I'm still like doing bug checks and things, but it should be pretty good. Anywho, take care, everyone. Have a good night, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.